Today's the day. Woo! We get to start some seeds. Hi everybody, welcome to Living Traditions Homestead. My name is Sarah, and today we are going to be starting some seeds. Woohoo! First seeds of the season for the upcoming spring of 2018, and we are excited. This is the first year that we're going to be using our greenhouse, and I've got some equipment changes from last year. I'm excited to get started and to show you what we have going on, and to give you guys a little tutorial on how to start your seeds. So let's start getting all of our equipment together and we will get started. Okay, I have everything ready. I want to go over with you the things that I've gathered that I'm going to use to start seeds. Kevin and I last week took a trip into the big city to Springfield to get everything that we needed, brought everything back. So we're hopeful that we have everything that we need for the entire summer and spring of starting seeds. Now, you may or may not be using this same setup, but I'm going to explain it anyway. Let's get started. So the first thing I have is a bunch of seed starting mix, propagation mix. We're using a big bag because we bought all this stuff in bulk, but I don't expect that you're going to. If you are going to be working on a small scale, I just saw in Walmart this week that they have smaller bags of seed starting mix. You'll probably only need a couple bags of that, and it's under $5 a bag. So pick up some of those. They also have a setup almost exactly like this with a tray and little plug starters here. There are 72 little holes in here that you can plant seeds in. And then in the package they have at Walmart, there's also like a dome top that you put on to create a little greenhouse effect. And they're about $5 per set. So that's really not that big of, that's not that huge of an expense, especially if you might only need 2 or 3 of them. These are definitely reusable as long as you're careful with them. So, you know, a one-time investment potentially, or once every few years to get these little seed starters. Now, I do want to bring to your attention that last year and several years before that as well, we started all of our seeds using seed blocks. And seed blocks are fantastic. If we were not going to be starting seeds on a really big scale this year, I would continue using seed blocks forever. Now, last year I did a video not only on how to make seed blocks, but also a very simple, uncomplicated recipe for soil block mix. It's 2 ingredients. You can find both of those at Walmart, and it just really takes a lot of the complication, the guessing, and everything out of creating a soil block mix. So I'm going to put a link to that video right up here for you. One thing that's really important to me is to be able to keep track of all of these trays, what's in each tray, what's in each cell, so I just don't get things all mixed up. Because to be honest with you, today I'm going to be starting broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower, along with lettuce and spinach. But broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage, when they are first little seedlings, they all look the same. So I have figured out a system that I'm going to be using with these trays and going forward to record what is in each tray so that I can refer back to it in the future. So what I did was I actually took all of these little seed trays outside and I laid them all out, and I took a bottle of white spray paint and I just sprayed a dot on each seed tray in the same place in an area that is going to be big enough for me to write on. And then after that was dry, I came back and I used a permanent marker and I labeled each one of them A, B, C, D, E. And as I go on through the summer, I'll continue more and more, you know, down the alphabet, and then maybe I'll switch to A1, A2, or AA, double B, or something like that. So then in my notebook, I can write down what I started in each one of these trays. But figuring out a way and using this way maybe to record so you can keep track of what you're doing, it's really going to make things a lot easier in the long run. Okay, enough of that. Let's get started, okay? And we're going to start filling them with the seed starting mix. Now I'm just going to use a big cup and just get started just filling them. Now, this seed starting mix is very dry. And after we're done filling all of these, we need to wet this all down before we put any seeds in there. So we're just gonna keep filling all of these until they're all full, making sure not to waste too much of the soil. Because, you know what? It all costs money. And the more I dump on the ground, the less money I'm making. We're just gonna keep doing this until all 5 of these trays are filled up. Well, we're all finished with that. They're all filled. So I can put the big bag away, but we need to wet this and let the seed starting mix soak up some of the water before we get started. Okay, I'm gonna let that soak in, and then I'm gonna come back and keep doing that time after time until I feel like the water has been absorbed by until the water has been absorbed by the seed starting mix. Well, I'll be totally honest with you guys that I completely underestimated the amount of time that it would take for all of this seed starting mix to absorb enough water for it to be completely wet all the way through. The very first couple times that I wet it, all of the water stayed on top, and it just took forever for it to just really soak in. And that's really because, you know, this seed starting mix isn't really soil. Basically, it is peat moss, perlite, and vermiculite. And so it's the peat moss that takes a long time to absorb it. Now, this soil mix is perfect for starting seeds. You wouldn't want to grow your entire garden bed out of it, but it is designed specifically for growing seeds. It will hold moisture in, it will give enough drainage, and so it will be perfect. It just is going to require a little bit of patience. I ended up needing to let this just sit and soak up the water overnight. I ended up watering it all about 5 or 6 times total before it has gotten to the point where it is now, where I'm ready to start seeds. And so I'm pretty excited I get to start today, one day later than I had anticipated, but hey, I'm starting seeds anyway. I will tell you that it's pretty darn hot in here today. The high today is 52, and right now the thermometer, which I think is lying, says it's 103 in here, but the thermometer is right in the sun. I know what 103 feels like. This isn't quite it, but it is darn hot, so I have opened up the door, and I may have to roll up one of these sides just a little bit to cool down so I don't pass out in front of you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna get started. Now, this first tray that I'm gonna be planting is gonna be all broccoli. And so before I even get started, I'm actually going to record in my notebook that tray A is all Goliath broccoli. When you're starting seeds, normally on the back of your packet, it will tell you a bunch of information. And one of the first things you need to look at is how deep your seed needs to be. Now, the Baker Creek seeds don't always have that information, but it's really as simple as looking online. I did a quick search, and both broccoli and cauliflower, you plant a 1/2 inch deep. The easiest way that I have found to poke a hole into the little cells is to just use a pen or a pencil and just figure out where you think a 1/2 inch is and poke down in each cell about that deep. And do it on each one and do your whole tray. Okay, so now that I have a hole in each cell in the first tray that I'm going to be working on, it's time to put some seeds in there. And I just normally tear off one little side of the seed packet, and I pour a bunch of the seeds into the palm of my hand, and then just keep them in there safely while I'm planting. Probably 1/2 teaspoonful. And then I start filling the holes. I put at least 2 seeds in each hole. Sometimes 3 of them will accidentally come out of my fingers because they're so small. But I always want more than 1 seed in there. If both of them germinate, I will let them grow until they each have a second set of leaves, and then the plant that looks the strongest I will keep, and the other one I will just cut off and compost. So let's get started putting some of these seeds in here. Now that I have all the seeds that I need inside each hole, now it's time to cover them up a little bit. It's really quite easy. All I do is just take my finger and push the soil over and close the hole a little bit. There we go. That is completely finished. I am done with broccoli for this planting session. I'm going to be moving on to cauliflower, and then I'm going to be moving on to cabbage. Both of them are also planted about 1/2 inch into the soil, so I'll use the same method. Well, I shared with you that this year I'm going to be growing Goliath broccoli, but I also wanted to share with you that the cauliflower I'm going to be growing this year is Snow Crown Hybrid, and the cabbage I'm going to be growing is called Gloria of Enquizin, or something like that. Every type of seed has different planting requirements, and so not all of them are you going to poke a hole in the soil and drop the seed down. Leaf lettuce, for instance, you just sow the seeds right on top of the soil and then rough it up a little bit on top to mix the seed with the soil a little bit, and you'll have to make sure to keep that really wet. Don't ever let it get dry because those seeds are right on the top. So I'm going to be planting again for probably the 3rd year a leaf lettuce salad mix from Baker Creek. It's called Rocky Top Lettuce Salad Mix. We love it. It is super mild tasting, and I was able to do really well last year at the farmer's market selling it. Okay, here I go with my last tray to plant for the day. I'm going to be planting some spinach. My favorite variety is Bloomsdale Longstanding. It's a pretty common type of spinach to grow, pretty easy. I'll tell you what though, until we moved to Missouri, I was never successful growing spinach. I don't know what the deal was trying to grow it in Phoenix, but it just would not work. So I was excited last year when I finally had some success. Okay, so planting spinach, again, you guys, it's just as easy as looking online to see how deep you need to plant the seeds. Spinach seeds you plant anywhere from 1/2 inch to 1 inch deep. I'm going to go with 1/2 inch again. Use my pen to make the hole, put a couple seeds in there, and cover them up, water them, and then I'm pretty much good to go. There, everything is planted and watered for the day. The next step is to cover these, especially if you're going to be starting these in the house. You need to create a greenhouse effect, and most of these kits that you buy of these seed trays will have a plastic dome that sits right on top of them, and that will keep in the moisture. It will prevent the seeds from drying out and the soil from drying out, and you'll be able to regulate the moisture of the soil a lot better until the seeds emerge and pop up. As soon as they come up out of the soil, as soon as more than 50% of them are out of the soil, then you need to take that cover off and then just let them grow from there. Now, these need to be put in a warm place. Most seeds germinate best at about 78 degrees. Now, if you keep your house warm, you know, they might just be fine out on the counter. A lot of people put them on top of their refrigerator, near their wood stove. A seed starting mat is like your heating pad that you would put on your back when you're injured, but it lays flat on your table and it gets warm, and you can put your seed trays on top of it and regulate the heat with a little thermostat. I have one of those that holds 3 seed trays, so I'm actually going to use those to start the broccoli, the cauliflower, and the cabbage. The spinach and the lettuce are just going to have to be on their own. Make sure every day or a couple times a day that you're checking to make sure that the soil, especially right on the top, is still moist. The best way to do that, especially when you have seeds in here, is to use a spray bottle, to just lightly spray the tops of these at least once or twice a day. Once all of your seeds have sprouted, then they really need to be in an area that gets a lot of sunlight, or they need to be in an area that is underneath the grow light. After your little seedlings have their second set of leaves, their first true leaves, you want to give them one dose of about a 50% fertilizer solution. You know, whatever it is that you choose is up to you. Some options that we've done in the past are compost tea, fish emulsion, or a liquid seaweed. Depending on how far ahead of time you've planted your seeds, your little seedlings may get too big for this little seedling tray, and you may have to transplant it from your seedling tray into a small pot, or if you're doing seed blocks, transplant it from your little seed block into a bigger seed block. You want to make sure that your plant doesn't get stunted in its growth because it's in too confined of an area. So once your seedlings get a couple inches tall, maybe 3 at the most 4 inches tall, you'll want to carefully pull it out of your seed tray and determine if it's becoming to get a little bit root bound. And if it is, you need to either plant it into the garden or transplant it into the next size bigger of a pot. After that, you just need to continue caring for them diligently until they are big enough to go out into the garden. Now, last spring, I wrote a pretty extensive blog post about how to start seeds indoors. And I'm going to link to that article right up here because it still has very valuable information, and it may have things that I've left out. Actually, I think there are a couple tips in there that would be very helpful for you guys. So it's really not that hard, is it? I really encourage you to give it a try this spring. Start some seeds indoors and then transplant them outside. It really gives you an opportunity to get going on your planting. It really feeds that need to start digging in the dirt and start working with plants. I hope you had a great time learning how to start seeds with me today. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share this video. If you haven't checked out our Facebook group called Traditionalists with Living Traditions Homestead, don't forget to do that. It is a lot of fun. Until next time, you guys, thanks so much for stopping by the homestead. Take care, and God bless.